He enslaved hundreds in the Southwest. The FBI's 7-year manhunt for America's trafficking emperor. In February 2016, federal agents issued arrest warrants for Miguel Santos, a man who had transformed from small-time border smuggler into the Southwest's most dangerous human trafficking kingpin. Known to his organization as El Emperador, Santos faced staggering charges: conspiracy to commit human trafficking, forced labor, money laundering, and racketeering. He wasn't just moving people across borders, he was enslaving them. FBI investigators had uncovered Santos' sprawling criminal empire stretching across Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and California. Hidden in remote desert compounds and urban warehouses, over 200 victims labored in conditions federal agents described as modern-day slavery. Men, women, and children worked 18-hour days in construction, agriculture, and domestic servitude, their documents seized, their families threatened with death. The scope was unprecedented. Santos's organization generated an estimated $15 million annually from human misery. Victims were lured from Central America with promises of legitimate work, then trapped in a cycle of debt bondage and violence. Those who tried to escape faced brutal consequences: beatings, starvation, or worse. Federal prosecutors called it the largest trafficking operation ever discovered in the Southwest. The FBI's Crimes Against Children and Human Trafficking Unit made Santos their #1 priority. Special Agent Carmen Reyes, who led the investigation, would later testify that Santos represented a clear and present danger to every vulnerable person crossing our borders. His network wasn't just criminal, it was a machine designed to destroy human lives for profit. Santos had built his empire through calculated cruelty and ruthless business acumen. He recruited subcontractors, bribed officials, and maintained strict operational security. Former associates described him as paranoid, violent, and utterly without conscience. At 6'2" with distinctive neck tattoos and gold teeth, he carried multiple identities and maintained safe houses across 3 countries. When coordinated raids hit 15 locations simultaneously in March 2016, federal agents expected to find Santos directing operations from his Phoenix headquarters. Instead, they found empty offices, wiped computers, and a trafficking network suddenly without its emperor. Miguel Santos had vanished, leaving behind only his victims and what would become the FBI's most intensive manhunt. The morning of March 15, 2016, should have ended Miguel Santos' reign of terror. Instead, it marked the beginning of one of the FBI's most challenging manhunts. As federal agents swept through 15 locations across 4 states, they found extensive evidence of Santos' trafficking network, but the kingpin himself had vanished like smoke. Special Agent Carmen Reyes arrived at Santos' Phoenix compound to find computers still warm, documents scattered, and surveillance footage showing a black SUV leaving the property just 45 minutes before the raid. "He knew we were coming," Reyes later testified. "Someone tipped him off." The FBI had missed their target by less than an hour. Within hours, a massive dragnet spread across the Southwest. Border Patrol agents sealed crossings from San Diego to Brownsville. ICE officers monitored every airport and train station. Santos' known associates were placed under surveillance. His financial accounts were frozen, his property seized, his communications monitored. The FBI deployed 75 agents to the initial pursuit. The first lead seemed promising. A gas station attendant in Tucson reported selling supplies to a tall man with gold teeth matching Santos' description. Surveillance footage from a Phoenix hotel showed someone who could be the fugitive checking out around midnight. Border sensors detected suspicious crossings near Nogales. Each lead consumed dozens of agents and thousands of hours. But every trail went cold. The man in Tucson turned out to be a construction worker. The hotel guest was a traveling salesman. The border crossings were false alarms. Santos had prepared for this moment, establishing escape routes and safe houses that even his closest associates didn't know about. Months passed without credible intelligence. The FBI expanded their search internationally, working with Mexican and Central American authorities. They offered rewards, distributed wanted posters featuring Santos's distinctive appearance, and maintained round-the-clock tip lines. Informants within trafficking networks reported rumors and speculation, but nothing concrete. By December 2016, the trail had gone completely cold. Miguel Santos had disappeared into a world he knew better than anyone. The shadowy networks that move people and money across borders. The FBI task force remained active, but agents privately wondered if the trafficking emperor might never be found. The Santos manhunt consumed the next 6 years of Agent Carmen Rey's career. The FBI assembled an 85-agent task force, the largest human trafficking investigation in Southwest history. Working with Border Patrol, ICE, and Mexican authorities, they pursued every lead across 2 countries and 4 time zones. The investigation's scope was staggering. Federal agents tracked financial transactions through 17 banks, monitored communications networks across Central America, and maintained surveillance on over 200 known associates. The task force budget exceeded $12 million. We were hunting someone who understood our methods, Reyes explained. Santos had been evading law enforcement for decades. Twice they came heartbreakingly close. In August 2017, Mexican authorities raided a Tijuana safe house based on FBI intelligence. They found evidence that Santos had been there days earlier. Fresh food, warm bedding, surveillance equipment still recording. But their target had vanished again, apparently warned by cartel contacts who knew him as El Emperador. The second near-miss came in Phoenix, January 2019. A traffic camera captured a man matching Santos' distinctive profile entering a warehouse district where the FBI had been monitoring suspicious activity. Tactical teams surrounded the area within minutes. They found a sophisticated command center coordinating trafficking operations, but Santos had escaped through underground tunnels connecting 3 buildings. He was always one step ahead, recalls Agent Mike Torres, who spent 3 years tracking Santos' movements. We'd hit a location and find evidence he'd been planning our arrival. New phones, different vehicles, altered appearance. He had resources we could only imagine. In September 2019, the FBI added Santos to the 10 most wanted list. His photograph appeared on billboards across the Southwest. Television programs featured his case. The reward increased to $500,000. Tips flooded in. Hundreds every week from people who thought they'd spotted the 6'2" fugitive with distinctive neck tattoos. Most tips led nowhere. Mistaken identity, old grudges, wishful thinking. But the FBI investigated every credible lead. Santos sightings came from Las Vegas, Denver, Miami, even New York or Tyre. Each city meant new surveillance teams, new partnerships with local law enforcement, new hope that quickly turned to disappointment. By 2022, Santos had been free for 6 years. The trafficking network had partially reconstituted under new leadership. Victims continued to suffer. The FBI's dedication never wavered, but privately, agents wondered if Miguel Santos might remain a ghost forever. On a cold February morning in 2023, everything changed. Border Patrol agents found Maria Gonzalez collapsed near a highway outside El Paso, dehydrated and terrified. The 19-year-old had escaped from what she described as the place where people disappear. Her testimony would finally bring down Miguel Santos. Gonzalez told FBI investigators a harrowing story. She'd been held for 8 months in an underground compound where Santos personally supervised trafficking operations. El Emperador would come every week, she testified through an interpreter. He would inspect us like animals, decide who worked where, who got punished. Santos wasn't hiding in Mexico or Central America. He was operating from a massive warehouse complex in El Paso. The location Gonzalez described didn't match any property in FBI files. Hidden beneath a legitimate shipping business, Santos had constructed an elaborate bunker system complete with living quarters, surveillance rooms, and holding areas for victims. The compound housed 47 people in conditions federal prosecutors would later call medieval torture chambers. Not Dean, Maria's escape gave us the breakthrough we'd been hunting for 6 years, Agent Reyes recalls. She provided details only someone who'd been inside could know. Guard schedules, security systems, Santos' daily routines. The FBI worked carefully to corroborate every detail before moving, knowing they might only get one chance. Surveillance teams confirmed unusual activity at the El Paso warehouse. Thermal imaging detected large numbers of people in underground areas that shouldn't exist. Communications intercepts picked up coded conversations, matching Gonzalez's descriptions. After a week of careful observation, federal agents were certain Miguel Santos was finally within reach. The FBI assembled their largest tactical response in the Manhunt's history. SWAT teams from 3 field offices converged on El Paso. Human trafficking specialists prepared to process potentially dozens of victims. Medical personnel stood by for rescue operations. The raid would require perfect coordination. Santos had proven he could disappear in minutes if given any warning. On February 28, 2023, at 4:30 a.m., federal agents prepared to surround the warehouse complex. This time, there would be no escape routes, no advance warnings, no last-minute vanishing act. The Trafficking Emperor's 6-year run was about to end. We had learned from every previous operation. Special Agent Torres explained. This time, we sealed every exit before he knew we were there. Santos had finally made his last mistake, trusting that his underground empire would keep him safe forever. At dawn, on February 28, 2023, federal agents launched Operation Emperor's End. 96 agents from the FBI, Border Patrol, and ICE surrounded the El Paso warehouse complex in a coordinated assault that left Miguel Santos nowhere to run. The raid began at precisely 4:30 a.m. SWAT teams breached multiple entrances simultaneously, while surveillance drones monitored the compound's perimeter. Within minutes, agents had secured the warehouse's main level and begun descending into the hidden underground facilities Maria Gonzalez had described in terrifying detail. The scene below ground shocked even veteran trafficking investigators. A maze of tunnels connected dormitories, workshops, and administrative areas. 47 victims, ranging in age from 16 to 54, were found in various states of captivity. Many showed signs of malnutrition and systematic abuse. All were terrified, having been conditioned to fear both their captors and law enforcement. Santos wasn't found in the main compound. As agents secured victims and evidence, tactical teams searched deeper into the tunnel system. At 5:47 a.m., they discovered a concealed entrance to an even more sophisticated bunker. Inside, they found Miguel Santos hiding in a reinforced room, surrounded by surveillance monitors, weapons, and over $2 million in cash. He didn't resist, Agent Carmen Reyes recalls. When our flashlights hit him, Santos just raised his hands. After 6 years of running, he knew it was over. The man who had terrorized hundreds of victims surrendered without a word, his distinctive neck tattoos and gold teeth confirming his identity. The evidence recovered filled 3 FBI warehouses. Detailed records documented the trafficking of over 800 people across 7 years. The financial documents revealed a network generating $20 million annually. Computer files contained photographs and personal information on victims across multiple states. Santos' trial began 18 months later. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence of his trafficking empire. Survivors testified about years of forced labor and systematic abuse. The jury deliberated for just 4 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all 89 counts. In November 2024, Miguel Alejandro Santos received 8 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. Federal Judge Patricia Williams called his crimes a systematic assault on human dignity that demands the harshest possible punishment. Today, Santos serves his sentence in ADX Florence, the Supermax prison in Colorado. His trafficking network has been completely dismantled, its assets seized and liquidated. The 47 victims rescued from the El Paso compound have received comprehensive services and immigration relief. As Agent Reyes said after the conviction, Santos thought the border would protect him, but justice has no boundaries. Knew it, Ospo. The trafficking emperor's reign of terror is over. Justice has been served.